Hey guys, it's me Ash, and today I thought I would share an idea I've been thinking about for a while now. It's a different approach to the combat system in Dungeons and Dragons. Well, really, it's an entirely new system altogether. So the system is still very much in development. I just kind of threw my ideas onto a page, and here we are. So before we get started, I want to say I haven't been able to play D&D in quite a while, and I really haven't been able to play nearly as much as I would like to. So if I get anything wrong, just give me a little grace on that. So my idea is, as you can probably tell from the title of the video, magic. We replace the combat with magic. My idea is different classes have different lists of cards available to them. Kind of in the same way different classes can use certain spells. It'll be kind of like that, except instead of using the weapons you have and rolling dice, you get to play a game of magic. So it would be commander style, everyone versus everyone else, except you're on a team with your party, obviously, though there are no shared turns or anything like that. Everyone still takes their turn alone, just a normal initiative turn order. You can attack whoever and stuff like that. My idea is your life total is your HP, obviously, and I think you can get additional life based on half of your armor class. So your armor class really just gives you a little extra buffer of life, as opposed to being a way to determine if you get hit or not. And obviously your party can end combat once all of the monsters are defeated. So when someone runs out of cards in their deck, instead of just losing, they're going to shuffle their graveyard into their library to continue the game as a method of combat instead of just decking. So I think the decks would start at 15 cards at level 1. So it keeps it small. I don't know if anyone here has played Dominion before. It's kind of like that, where you start with the decks very small, and as it goes on, they get bigger and more diverse. So I think level 1, the decks would only be 15 cards, and whenever you buy cards from shops or acquire them, however, normally when you find items or spells, it would be magic cards. You can add as many as 4 copies of that card to your deck. And I think a good way to change up your deck would be A, whenever you acquire a new weapon or card or whatever, and B, I think your deck would be able to be edited every rest, long or short. As I said, I think you should start at 15 cards at the beginning, and I think the minimum deck size should go up by 5 every time the player levels up. So by level 3, you have 25 cards in your deck, and it gets bigger and bigger and more diverse, and as I said, you can change it as it goes. Other aspects of combat will work as normal, such as initiative and surprise attacks. Just skip around, or you get to go in the order of initiative. An idea for color identity is fighters, for example, would be constrained to certain colors based on their preferred fighting style, or clerics based on their divine domain, or even spellcasters depending on if they're wizards, sorcerers, sages, whatever. So I wrote up some example decks here. I have level 1 decks for a wizard, a healer, a tank, and a rogue, as well as I also have a monster. So let's take a look at a wizard. So it's just 4 forked bolts, 2 negates, 2 essence scatters, 2 pyroclasms, and then some lands. Obviously it's pretty low power to begin with, but they all are. They would be level 1. It being a smaller amount of cards makes it more likely you're going to hit the cards, obviously. So you're only going to have a couple spells you get to cast before you level up and get new spells that do more things. A good upgrade to maybe level 2, 3, 4 upgrade for this kind of deck would be just a lightning bolt. It's just more efficient than forked bolt, stuff like that. And I think a really high level upgrade could be something like Cyclonic Rift or Snapcaster Mage. Next, we're going to move on to the healer. The healer basically does nothing but heal, at least at the beginning. So they have 4 healing hands, 4 healing salve, 2 stave off, and some lands. The stave off doesn't as much heal creatures as much as it protects them or could let them get through. I think a good upgrade to this early on would be something like Life Burst, and then higher level upgrades could be things like Congregate or Archangel of Thune. So now on to the tank. I thought the idea for the tank would mostly be really a lot of damage pretty fast as in turns, but it might be a little bit slower to build up to it. So I thought the best way to do that would be equipment. So my idea for a tank would be 4 copies of Core Duelist, 2 copies of Volshock Morningstar, 2 Civic Saber, just some equipments, 2 Giant Growths just to get some extra damage in, and then some land. I think a good early upgrade for this would be something like Golem Skin Gauntlet, something that rewards you for using the equipments instead of going with something else. And then really powerful high level upgrades would be stuff like Umzabas Jite or Sword of Feast and Famine or Fire and Ice, just like the sword cycle. Lastly, the Rogue. The Rogue has 4 copies of Reef Soul. It's a good removal spell, but only early on. It quickly becomes not very useful, and that's why you'll want to upgrade it later. 3 copies of Blind Zealot, 2 copies of Unnerve, and then some lands. So this one has 6 lands, where everything else only has 5, just because it has a couple higher costed cards than the other decks. I think a good early upgrade for this would be something like Go for the Throat, just a more universal removal spell. Higher level upgrades would be things like Exsanguinate, which just kind of drain the whole table, and Kalitash Trader Forget. Just, I don't know how much that fits into the Rogue archetype. That might need to be edited a little bit, but it still seems like something that would just be powerful. So as I said, I also have an idea for a monster. I thought, what's the good level 1 monster most people run into? Oh, that's right, goblins, of course. So I built the itty bitty goblin deck. So this is just really simple: 4 Raging Goblin, 4 Foundry Street Denizen, 2 Mogwar Marshal, and then some lands. Just a good aggressive, okay, what are goblins going to do? They're going to try and hit you. So they're going to throw out some goblins and then try to hit some people. So I think it would be a lot of fun to try out as a new combat system. It would be less of a strategic, I think, or at least early on, kind of system. But I think later, after there's been a lot of development in the characters' decks, it would be a lot of fun to be able to kind of grow with a certain deck for so long. And obviously for the DMs, this would be a lot of fun when you're like making a powerful villain. You could even use things like the archenemy cards. I think as a final boss kind of thing, that would be really cool. I mean, obviously there's a lot of experimental space here, but I think it would be a lot of fun. Another thing that would be a good sort of upgrade you could get later on would be like dual lands if you're in multicolors, just as a good way to make it a little easier to hit the cards you need, obviously, and that's more of just Magic than it is D&D, but I think it'd be a good upgrade to get later on, just to be a little more consistent. Well, that's about all I've got for the MTG combat system for Dungeons & Dragons. I hope you guys try it out. Let me know if you've got any suggestions. Let me know if you have any cool stories of your groups trying it out. Well, that's all for me. Talk to you guys next time.